And with that, please join me in welcoming today's guest, Subramanian, the founder and CEO of The Limitless Leaders. She is a servant leader who is on a mission to help women leaders reach their full potential by providing transformative learning and development opportunities. So welcome, Uma, to our call as our speaker today, because she's been on our calls before, but this is the first time as a speaker. So thank you. And welcome. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Eneri, for this opportunity and for inviting me here. So today I thought of actually sharing my 10 life lessons that I have learned. And, these lessons have had a profound impact on me. And I thought I'll share those. Is that okay with you all?
Yes.
All right. So first of all, to, begin my story here, let me take you all back to July 8th, 2022. That was almost like a year ago exactly. It was my daughter's 12th birthday, 11th birthday. She's 12 now. And, we were going to have a sleepover party, and she was around 4:00. She came running to me and said, "Mom, come, let's go get ready for the sleepover party. We have to get, my friends are coming." And I'm like, "Yes, I just have this one last work meeting, at 4, and then, we'll get started." Little did I know that 4:00 meeting would be a life-changing event that would have, such an impact on my life and career and leadership journey. So I entered this meeting. It was a Zoom meeting. I entered the Zoom meeting, and I had recently started reporting to a new C-level executive, the CEO and the founder of the startup where I was working. And he was just like, that day, he was, it was 5-6 weeks that I had started reporting to him directly. And there were some red flags already in those 5-6 weeks, but I was trying to adjust, and I was like, okay, I'm reporting to a new manager. I need, let me adjust. Let me figure this out. But then that meeting in front of like about 10 of my male peers, he was rude, condescending, and completely like, whatever answer I would give, like that day was not enough. And I felt completely disrespected, humiliated. And after the meeting, I resigned from that job. And then I was like, okay, what do I, do next? And as I thought about, what to do next, I still remember like it was 3 weeks into my last day at work. And I was, taking my dog, our dog Mia, for a walk. And I was in the park, and suddenly I realized like nothing can really stop me. Like I was going, I was trying to come up with something bigger and better. I knew that this would be, this would not have happened to, like for a reason other than, there is something here that, that's bigger and better. And I have, I wanted to figure that out. And so as I was thinking about it, I realized, we are all limitless. We have limitless potential within us. And we, know if we set our mind to something, like no one can stop us. And that really led me to start my company called Limitless Leaders, and really help emerging and aspiring women leaders become more effective and confident and help them achieve their full potential. And so that's what I set out to do from that. The first lesson that I learned is that we are limitless. Just like, a little acorn, right? A little acorn can turn into like a majestic oak tree. Just like that, we all have, no matter how we might think about ourselves, small, insignificant, whatever. I mean, even if we think those things, we have the potential within us to really, go do amazing things in life and, make positive impact on the world and, people around us. So that's really the first thing that has, shaped me and brought me to where I am today, is just realizing that each and every one of us is limitless and has limitless potential. Are you all with me on that?
Yes. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. So the second life lesson, before I go into that, let me take you back to when I was 18 or 19. So I used to be a voracious reader. Like even at 5 years old, if you saw me, I would be with a book in hand, reading. But I used to read fiction books. And then 18 or 19, I picked up Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's a nonfiction book. First time ever. I read that book and then just changed my life completely. I stopped reading fiction from that day onwards, and I went into this crazy, obsessive, like self-help improvement, self-improvement, growth and development kind of journey. Till date, hasn't stopped. Like it's just crazy obsession still. But really what I have realized in that process is living this way, where we are trying to become a better version of ourselves every day, and realizing that we are a continuous work in progress. Like that's really what has given me meaning and purpose. And it's made me live life in a way that I can make mistakes and know that I'm a work in progress. Right? Gives me grace. I don't, even if I make a mistake or there's a small failure, those things are acceptable, because that's my view that, okay, I can improve, like I can do better tomorrow, or I can, do better next. And also just living this way of always trying to, striving for excellence and striving to become a better version of myself. Like I don't compare myself with others, just helps me just focus on myself, what is in my control. And I have realized that it's given me the most, benefits ever. Like if not for that path that I have taken, I could be, struggling with a lot of negativity and, not being able to get back from setbacks quickly and many other things. Like I feel like I've become more resilient, adaptable, and just happy and fulfilled in life because of this. So again, my second life lesson that I have learned, and that I hold very dear to heart, is realizing that we are a continuous work in progress, and striving to become a better version of ourselves every day. That's what is the driving factor in my life. The third life lesson, I'll actually share another story here. This was I was working at Microsoft, and I've always been a workaholic. I love work and I take on a lot of things and I enjoy it. So I never feel stressed or burnt out or anything. I love it. I just do a lot and I love that. And so I was in that frame of mind. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was, in the family room couch with my laptop working. And my daughter, she must have been 8 at that point, or 7, I'm not sure. She came to me and then she said, Mom, I'll give you $20 if you put the laptop away for the weekend. And that was a turning point in my life that made me realize that, even though I love, work and all that, I need to have balance, and I need to, give the time my daughter deserves. And not that she was neglected or anything, but it was just, I think I had some incorrect prioritizations in my life. So again, just that self-awareness, when she did that and made me realize what I was doing, from that time onwards, in the last several years till date, I've become so self-aware about this particular aspect that finally I can say that now I've mastered work-life balance. And I really, if my daughter, really, if my daughter comes and, asks me when I'm working too, hey, can we go to the park? I go to the park, right? And really have learned that. And so the lesson, the third life lesson that has stuck with me is self-awareness is the first step to unlocking our limitless potential. Before that, I was so work oriented and work focused. I was happy. I thought I was, doing great. But then there was this one side of me that was not blossoming, and so just that self-awareness really helped me bring out this part of me. Right. And which is still a work. Again, I'm a work in progress. So I'm not a perfect, a perfect mom or anything yet, but I'm continuously working on that and becoming better. But that's what I would say and self-awareness for me as a, leadership trainer and coach also the self-awareness is just the first step in, being a good leader. Like we have to be aware of everything, about us, around us, what is working, what is not, and everything. And so to me, self-awareness, like taking the time to really understand who we are, what motivates us, understand other people, all of that is really, really critical. And so, that's the third lesson. I do take the time to reflect on, myself and things. And often, like I'm an auditory person, so I have to talk to myself. So you'll see me if I'm like talking to myself, that's what I'm doing. Like it's really, a self-reflection and discovery, but all that happens just be talking to myself like a crazy person. And then the fourth lesson, life lesson that I have learned is that we are all unique and special, and we're just enough. Like the way we are, no matter what our degree is, background is, where we work, all of that, doesn't matter. Irrespective of that, each and every one of us is unique, special, and we have a gift, or maybe multiple gifts, some of us, right? And we are enough, right? And that was a tough one for me to learn. Like it took me a long time to learn that, honestly. Because again, I was doing well, in certain aspects, like especially work and stuff. But even then, like I was carrying a lot of, always sometimes doubting myself and all that, but really have come a long way. I think just, investing in myself and learning things and, working with other people, learning from them just has helped me arrive at this point where I do now 100% believe in myself and in everyone else that, we are enough and we have something amazing, irrespective of what's going on in our life or where we are and how we look or what we've accomplished. And so that is the fourth life lesson. The fifth one is around discipline, right? I'm like, if you look at my desk, you will see that I'm a super messy person. And like, I'm not very particular about, like my husband is the opposite. Like he needs to have everything clean and tidy, but I'm the total opposite. But when it comes, what I have realized is for us to be successful, again, we don't have to be a perfectionist. We don't have to have discipline in all areas. What we need is like selective discipline, right? So we really need to know what truly matters to us, and we need to have the discipline like in those areas. So now, I used to think that I have no discipline, because of like, I used to think, oh, my desk is messy. I don't have the discipline. And that's how I used to look at myself. But in that, like, over the course of the, last few years, I have realized that it's okay, if the desk is messy. What's more important is, what is truly important to us? Like, do we have the discipline to follow through and take action and consistently like get results in those areas? And so I've worked on, those things over the course of the years and really developed, excellent prioritization skills, really, taking the time to reflect on what is important to me, what truly matters to me, and then develop the habits so that I can execute on them every day, no matter, one day could be, filled with setbacks or failures and maybe, bringing my energy down. How do I then, bring myself back up, motivate myself and still make progress, right? And so that's really what has helped me. And so I really believe in selective discipline and all of these things, again, continuous work in progress. I know I'm kind of saying that again and again, but I do feel like, there's more for me to, keep growing and learning. But I do feel like that's something that is, really helping me stay focused and get the results. The sixth lesson is like really profound for me. It is that lacking confidence in an area is not a sign of, is actually a sign of growth and progress, not a signal to stop. And that is something that I've not let that like impact me in many areas throughout my life, but a few areas, it has stopped me, self-doubt. Like if there was like a public speaking opportunity or something like that, like I would, be filled with like nervousness and anxiety, and I would doubt myself and all that. But what I have learned is lacking when we are doing something new, like for example right now we are trying to establish a new business. Definitely there's so much, many things that we are trying is new, and so we don't feel that confident, and it's normal, right? And now I have accepted that. I've realized that it is normal to feel that lack of confidence or a slight lack of confidence when we are doing new things.
I agree.
It's not a signal to stop. Yeah, but it's not a signal to stop. It's actually a good thing that we feel that way, because that means we are out of our, doing something out of our comfort zone and doing things, right? So that's really like another thing that, has really helped me. So, that's kind of eased my stress levels and all that. So now if I feel a little less confident, I'm like, it's okay. It's fine. I can still go ahead. It's not a signal to stop. I just go ahead and do it. And, that's how I'm going to gain confidence. And so it's really helped me, keep moving forward and keep making progress. The seventh lesson is something that my mom actually instilled in me when I was very young. She would tell us that if we give someone something, we would get back 9 times in return. Like that was something that I don't know if you all have heard that or like, some flavor of that, but that was something that she, told us repeatedly, and that just got like, ingrained in my brain. So has really helped me just give abundantly, right? So I give abundantly. And what I have seen is when we give abundantly, like we just receive so much in return. And I've experienced it like throughout my life. And so more and more now, like, my philosophy is just, give freely, like give abundantly. And the kind of things like, this would sound strange, but I have like miracles. I have like things just falling into place, like somebody that I don't even know would just, come in, like, give me an opportunity or hand something out. Like every single, like, my job moves, things like that have been like that. So again, that's the other thing that I live by now. And I've realized is just giving freely is the best thing we can do. And everything else takes care of itself, right? Instead of us chasing after what we want, if we just operate in that, in that, being generous, being abundant mode, things just happen to us. The 8th lesson is, again, this is also something I think my mom kind of instilled in my brain. Like everything works out at the end, right? Like she would, like something would happen. Like I would be, a small kid, maybe something happened at school. I'll come crying and I'll tell my mom. And she'll be like, oh, it'll be fine. Everything will work out or something like that. Like she would say that obviously in our language, but that thing again has like, sat with me. It has been with me forever. And now I have, over the course of the years, I've seen in my own life that everything at the end always works out, right? Even if something, in the midst of the challenge or something, sometimes we cannot see it, but at the end, after some time, we always look back and realize, oh yeah, that happened for a good reason. I mean, if not for that, this would not have happened. And so I've seen that with other people, with me, with my own life. And so totally like now I know that everything works out at the end. And then the 9th lesson is, again, something I alluded to before, is we can do anything we set our minds to. That is, again, straight from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Like, when I was 18 or 19, when I did that book, I think that's what like really was like a, light bulb moment for me. Like I realized our minds are so powerful. And if we use our minds, effectively, if we learn to, think differently, think in the way that, it serves us, we can actually accomplish a lot, and we can accomplish anything that we set our mind to. And this is something that I have seen over and over again, like, in my job, in like every aspect of life. Like I would, for example, like I would envision a project and, have a complete vision of like, let's say a conference or something like that. And then there would be one day where that conference is happening and it would come alive exactly like the vision that I had had. And it would be totally like,
Wow.
career. Yeah. So those are the types of things now I have seen. And I know that, we have that kind of power. And so if we believe in ourselves and if we nurture those, ideas, things that come to us, and we take the action, we have the discipline to go get those things done, we can actually achieve anything. And with that, I'll get to the last one, which is, I 100% believe that we are all creators. And we have the power to create the life that we want, create amazing things and, positive things for the world. And we are in this together, right? So I also have seen the beauty of like how things come together, like even the conference that I spoke about, this was at Microsoft. I had envisioned like a huge company-wide conference and I pulled it through. But what happened was like, there were like, I don't know, hundreds of people working on that conference, like more than 250 people, like, in the pulling that conference together, right? For a, large conference. But what I saw was like, it's not one person, right? Like sometimes we think it's like we have to, it's our life and, we are the sole, like, creators of our life, or we have to do it all alone. But what I have realized is, yes, we're all creators. We have the power to create powerful things, and we can shape our life and achieve our dreams. But the beautiful part is we are all in this together, and everyone's if we go with that, like the generous, abundant kind of mindset, just people and other things just come, and everything falls into place, and we can help each other. I mean, this, this community right here, this event that we're doing right here is an example of that, right? Like we are all here, this just makes me, just confirms that, we are in this together, and we can get support and help from each other, and we don't have to do it alone, right? And so with that, I would just, like to give you all a group hug right now. Person I would, but, lots of like love and hugs. And I do, feel like each and every one of us has limitless potential, and we can achieve anything we set our minds to. And, we are creators, and we're in this together. Happy to, help and support in any way I can as well. But that was that was what I had, thought of to share today. But thank you so much for listening to this.
No problem. Thank you, Uma, for sharing your 10 life lessons. I think we can grab a few for ourselves, and a lot of it kind of resonates to what we shared in this community before. There's just the strength in numbers. In a community of like-minded individuals, regardless of where we are in our journey. Some of us are students, some of us are just our moms, some of us are in corporate, some of us are starting our businesses, some of us have already established businesses. But regardless of where we are, we can learn from each other. There's a scripture that goes, iron sharpens iron. So that's what we're here to do, just help sharpen each other. So with that, I'll open it up to our ladies for questions while you guys are coming off. I just wanted to ask, so what was, and I know you shared a little bit about it, but that pivotal moment where you said, okay, enough is enough, and no more being in corporate, I'm going to go ahead and start my business. So kind of walk us a little bit more through that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it was like very sudden for me, Eneri, to be honest.
Okay.
Because I was doing, like, I was having a blast in that startup. Like, okay. I was there for like 10 months. We were reporting to a different like C-level executive. Yeah. And, I was promoted in 5 months to senior director. I was heading 2 departments. I had, 5 teams under me with 50 people. And it was, we were making the, the numbers. We were, doing like, what I was doing was building a global, developer community around the world. Right. So we were doing all that. And so it was great. And then my manager left and I started reporting to this guy.
Okay.
And then, and just when that happened, there was just a lot of like, changes, things like that. That's when the economy was also, starting to, all these things were starting to impact. So there was a lot of stress, things like that. So anyways, for me, what it was in that meeting, like I felt completely disrespected. I would have, whatever it, like, I felt like, I was not treated like a leader, like an equal leader, and come and, have the conversation. I don't know what that was, what he was trying to do, but it was just not fair. And so for me, like my values were very clear to me, right? Okay. I knew that like disrespect. I mean, I've been a leader, like, took my first manager role in Microsoft in 2010. And then, I had like grown all this way. And then I left Microsoft, joined the startup. Like I kind of knew that this is not something, I would accept, right? Like my values were very clear to me. And so when I even like, hung up on the Zoom meeting, like we ended the call, it was my daughter's birthday. Of course, I had to go, help the sleepover party set up. Yeah. But I was telling my husband and all that. And I was very clear. Like I told him, like when I ended the Zoom call, I knew that I was going to resign.
Wow. Okay.
And he did not believe me. Like he actually thought, okay, I'm just temporarily mad, how it is. Like he's like, okay. And it was a Friday evening. So he's like, okay, by Monday, she might be like, okay. And he's like, oh, talk to him on Monday, right? I'm like, no, this is not something like this is not acceptable. Like he crossed the line. And anyways, I was super clear. I think it was mainly because all these years of working on myself, right? I realized what my worth is, like who I am, what I stand for, what I will not stand for. And, it was very clear to me. And I knew my worth. I knew that this is not, this is not the for me. And another voice in parallel, which I'm really grateful for, right, is another voice kept coming to me, which was like, this is not, whatever is happening, if this is happening like this, because I was pouring myself into that job and working really hard and doing all the things. And I said, if this is how it's ending, like, if I'm resigning, there is something bigger and better, like, waiting for me. Like but thankfully that voice was there for me. Like, they're super grateful for that. Yeah. So I just chose to listen to that voice. And then like I held on to that voice and then just went, with that. And then as I started, like sometimes we wonder, like, I had worked like for, 2 decades. And when this happened, the next day morning, I just like woke up, got ready, sat in front of the computer. And I was like, okay, what do I do? And I was, instead of, I worked for a month after that, like that the guy wanted me to, the CEO wanted me to stay for 4 weeks to help with transition. So I stayed for a month. Okay. And then like it ended on August 5th. But even then, like, after August 5th, like, the next day after that, I was, I got ready. And I was like full of excitement and possibilities because I was like, oh, I can do anything. Like, what am I going to do? Right? What is it going to be? I didn't know that. And for some reason, it was also very clear to me at that moment that I would start something because I wanted to do something bigger and better and something that I would start. Like that was clear to me. Now, what I have not mentioned is I come from a background where my father was like a serial entrepreneur. And but he did not have the I don't know what it is, but he did not have the the mindset to continue if the business would start it or fail. And gotcha. So he would start something and then it would not work, then he would give up and then he would start something again. And so that was what I had seen, a series of failures when it comes to like business, right? And so I had a very negative outlook on businesses. Okay. Really, for us, like we are 3 siblings, 3 girls. all of us like went into 9 to 5 jobs. Like, for us, like the business has a very negative connotation.
Gotcha.
And so I would never have even thought of like starting a business or anything like that. Would not have happened, right? Like it was never, not even in like one corner of my brain that I would start something. But then when this happened, I don't know, I was just ready. And it didn't even like, my father's example didn't even come for a long time. To mind. I was like, yeah, I want to do something bigger and better. And then realized I love, leading people, working with people. That's my thing. And people in my teams started telling me, especially towards the last, several years of my leadership, that they have not seen leadership like that. And they would tell me that I'm very, people oriented, very results driven and people oriented leader. So that kind of gave me the confidence that, okay, maybe, I would try something in the leadership, development space, focusing on women. So that's what I ended up doing. But I mean, am I answering your question? So
yeah.
It was really like, I would say I've been in a very fortunate place and when this happened, like, which I'm, super grateful for, because I really didn't dwell too much on, oh, this happened to me. How could this happen to me? Why did he do this? How could he do this? I've done all this. I mean, there was nothing of that sort. Like, it was like, I knew what I had done. I knew I did great work. I felt confident. I knew this, what happened wasn't fair. I knew my worth. I resigned. And then I said, okay, I have to, do something bigger and better. And it just went ahead with that. So that's how really this time happened. I've not been like that from the beginning. I mean, I think it's taken me a lot of like, growth and development to arrive at this point. But that's what happened when this moment happened in my life. And many people, like even my close friends would, think like, oh, maybe, Uma is like keeping everything to herself, or she's in denial, or they would ask me like, how are you feeling? Like, yes, I mean, it's hard, but, I'm like moving on and I'm excited. And really that was the case this time.
So just to summarize, yes, for the rest of us, know your worth, stay true to your values, don't settle, and regardless of the obstacles, keep going.
Yes.
That kind of summarized what you just said, right? So with that, ladies, any questions for Uma? Feel free to come off mute. Or if you can, just make sure you can throw the questions on the chat.
So one of the things that you mentioned was kind of practicing that self-awareness. And so I noticed recently that that's something that I really struggle with, and I don't do it often. So I kind of wanted to hear from you, just what does that look like for you? How do you make sure that you're practicing that self-awareness?
Yeah, great question. Thanks for asking, Natalie. So a couple of things, right? So one is just, like reflecting, like many people do journaling, and I do journaling as well. I usually have a notebook or a diary next to my side table at bed, and sometimes I write, but I don't do it consistently. I know, I honestly, I don't do it every day. I do it when I have the urge or inspiration to do that. But many times I would just take some time to just reflect on what's happening, right? What's happening. And many times I pause myself, like, when I'm going on walks or when I have a moment, like if something is happening, like I instead of going into like a reaction mode or going into like, directly into solution mode or what we think needs to happen, I just take a little bit of a pause and think about, what's happening, what, should be done here. How do I move forward? Like, or is there a lesson to be learned, right? So just pausing, slowing down and reflecting on things helps me. Definitely journaling is a great idea. I mean, as I said, I do that as well. Like I write often as well. That helps. And then many times it's, before speaking, like just taking a moment to pause, if you're talking to someone, just instead of direct, jumping in to answer, just taking a moment to, collect your thoughts, understand, really truly listen to the person, and then, understand all that and then like respond. So yeah, it's just a few things like that. But I also, when I'm doing, dishes or something like that, you'll see me just talking to myself which my daughter finds very like silly. But I will also like talk to myself, because that's how, like, it works out for me. I'm an auditory person, but just some of those things, you just can, maybe figure out what works for you. There are also lots of like, self-awareness exercises and journals available.
Mhm.
Those are also, helpful. I think like sometimes I do these personality tests and, assessments and things like that, just for fun, just to, like last or 2 weeks ago, I did something on like stress, right? So a lot of assessments just, online, I got them. Then I was just doing like a stress assessment and discovery. And I learned so much about myself as to like, what are the kinds of things that I'm doing, what I could be improving and things like that. So I think that's an option as well.
Yeah, I echo that. I think reflection is key, and we don't practice it enough because, as I said before, we're going from one thing to the other, to the other, to the other. And when we have a moment, it's 5 minutes as we're laying in bed and we just knock out, right? Because we've had such a full day, whether it's again with work, with ministry, with all the responsibilities that we have during the day, that we really are not taking time to reflect. And we need to, for me, I put it in the calendar. I need a pocket of time where I'm not doing anything, which in the beginning is going to be hard. And I'm not saying I have arrived and I've completely gotten it together. No, but I keep notebooks all around my house. I have one by the bed side table. I have one and notepads on my desk, because as you start to practice, your brain is going to go haywire because you're being distracted by all the things. Oh, well, I start reflecting. I'm like, oh, wait, I forgot to do this. I forgot to do that. So if I start on that thought process, then I totally forget about the reflection and I go back into my to-do list. So I'm like, okay, that popped into my head. Let me just write it down. So it's out. Okay. This reminder. Okay. I wrote it down. So now I'm no longer focusing on that reminder. I'm going back to reflecting okay, what happened? What it made me feel? How can I make that better? Whatever it may be for you, for that, whatever happened during the day. And because that's how you're going to improve. If you don't take the time to reflect, right? I think as women, we accept the status quo. We accept what's happening to us. It's just like, well, it is what it is. This is how my life is. This is how people are going to treat me, blah, blah, blah. And you keep it moving and you stay stagnant and you don't grow. And again, going back to what you said, Uma, in the beginning, or as we were going through just the 10 steps and even the summary before, we need to know our worth. We need to stay true to our values and stop settling for what we've been handed. And if we don't take time out to reflect those things, we will continue to accept what's been handed to us. Does that make sense? So that's why reflection is crucial, so that you can take the time to say, wait, no, okay, this is making me feel some type of way. I am stressed. I am tired. I feel like I have anxiety. I have all these things because we keep taking on loads and loads on top of our shoulders, whether it's ours or someone else's. And we need to be like, okay, hold on. We need to pause and reflect. That's part of self-care. That's part of understanding who you are and where you're going. So reflection for me encompasses all of that, and it's going to help you to move forward. It's going to help you to know your worth. It's going to help you to not settle. And it's going to help you to start thinking, okay, where do I want to go? And what do I need to do to get to that? For me, helps me balance. All right. Any other questions or anything else to add to this? A note from Eleni. As you embarked on your self-discovery and growth, when faced with challenges, how did you identify what to pick up and let go? That's a question for you, Uma.
Yeah. So, great question, Eleni. I think it came back to like my values and what I value, right? So if there were, when there were challenges, if they were something, if it was aligned with my values, if it mattered to me, then I knew that I had to, tackle them. Like I had to, grow or, get overcome those challenges. And so I had to, do the work. I had to figure out how to overcome those. But if I came across some things that were not, like I realized, there was a challenge, maybe a difficult person, but I realized that that person is not adding a lot of value, or, or not really someone that I need to hold on to, right? Like if that, then I said, okay, I'm going to just let go, right? Like, so I don't know if that was the question and if I'm answering it currently, but that's really what it came down to, is really understanding who I am, what my values are, what is important to me, and where I wanted to go, right? Like just having all that clarity first by doing the awareness and discovery work and the reflection, and then using that to guide me, right, through, through life. And that's really what I think I've been doing. And I'm very narrowly focused on the things that matter to me. Like, that's where the selective discipline, I'm not someone that is trying to do 100 things. Like you will see me, in fact, like I'm not a kind of person that is just, generally has a lot of like, common knowledge and like, can talk about 100 things. Like I cannot. Like I'm very, very, narrowly focused on, what I'm passionate about and what I'm interested in. But then that's what is guiding me, right? And I let go of all the other things. And even though they, for someone else might have a different perspective or viewpoint, like for me, it's fine. Like this is who I am, because I'm so clear. I kind of keep my, world around that.
Thank you. No, thank you for sharing. This was awesome. Again, ladies, thank you for joining us today. I hope you got a little nugget that'll help you through your day and also through those goals that you want to achieve this year. I thank you, Uma, for sharing your story, how you got started, how you got out of your comfort zone and started your business. And we wish you much success in this program.